We're in Auckland, New Zealand, and we're going to be going on a massive food hunt today.
New Zealand is our home and we are so excited to share Kiwi food culture with you. The best New Zealand food centres around fresh local produce and the country's phenomenal seafood and meat. In this 4-part series, we're travelling all over New Zealand to show you the best food from our homeland. From Kiwi classics to rare foods, plus a healthy dose of Aotearoa's jaw-dropping beauty, you don't want to miss this series. This is our first video from New Zealand and we're gathering fresh clams from the ocean, eating golden crispy fish and chips on the beach and hunting down the best summer treat for a hot day. This is gonna be a good one. Get ready for some mouth-watering food.
I'm Thomas.
And I'm Sheena and we're chasing a plate.
We hope you're hungry. Let's eat. You can probably tell by the fact I'm wearing a wetsuit for the start of this video that this is not going to start like our normal videos do. So we're going to start at the beach. In fact, we're at the beach right now. This is Omaha Beach and we are going to collect some Tuatua, which are a clam which is endemic to New Zealand. But collecting your own seafood is a massive thing here. So the Māori, the indigenous people of New Zealand, have an amazing culture of collecting seafood, or kaimoana, and that is how we're going to start this video. So we're going to pop into the ocean and you have to dig the clams up at low tide. They live down in the sand and you got to shimmy down there with your feet to dig these clams out of the sand.
It was a bit of a slow start, but we got there in the end. And these little beauties are the Tuatua. So just like with any hunting and gathering, sometimes it's really easy to find the food, other times it's a bit hard. It took us about 20 minutes of digging really deep into the sand with our toes before we found some good patches, and we were actually throwing a lot of them back because they were quite small. These are a relatively good size, so these will be really sweet and juicy when we cook them up. So we'll take these Tuatua back home, and what we need to do is put them in some fresh seawater. We collected a big bucket full of that, and we'll let them filter out the sand that's inside them. So you can see they've got their little filters out already and they're just starting to slowly filter that sand out. Once they've been filtering for a number of hours, we'll cook them up. So we're just going to put them in a bit of white wine and then they'll just steam open.
And how beautiful is this beach? So we're about an hour 15 north of Auckland. Auckland is the biggest city in New Zealand and it's in the North Island. And there's no one here. So you've got this beach pretty much to yourself. You can collect your own seafood straight out of the ocean and there's hardly anyone around. And we're right by New Zealand's biggest city. It's incredible. The Tuatua are soaking away in salt water now, so some salt water that we collected at the beach. So we want them to spit out all the sand because they live down in the sand and they're filtering animals. So they filter the seawater to get their food and their sustenance. But some sand gets into them, so you want them to sit overnight or all day to spit that sand out. So when we collected those, it was 8 o'clock in the morning. So we're going to leave those to sit all day, spit out all those sand, and we'll eat them later in the video. Now we're heading off for an absolute Kiwi classic. We're going to get some fish and chips.
Fish and chips are one of our favourite things to eat when we come back home to New Zealand, and we're always about finding the best local eats wherever we travel, and that includes being back home in New Zealand. And we are about to introduce to you some of the best fish and chips we have ever eaten in New Zealand from Leigh Eats, which is just behind me. Let's go and grab some food.
I like your vibe. Keep talking, it feels like you're knocking on my door. Crystal firelights, a hand on a shoulder, sliding down, losing track of time. Our moment is sober,
hefty packet of fish and chips with us. Now there's nothing better than eating fish and chips with a sea view. So we've come down to the ocean to enjoy these babies.
New Zealand has a lot of coastline, so you're never far from a beach. So we're gonna sit right on the water.
We've set up our little picnic and it is time to get in. So let's open up this packet. We ordered 2 lots of chips. Whoa! And 2 pieces of gurnard, which is a local white fish, and look at that crispy batter. So what makes Leigh Eats Fish and Chips super special is that they're really, really consistent. We've been eating here for years and it is always top notch. The batter is always crispy. The chips are cooked perfectly. And I feel like I'm a really good judge of fish and chips because my parents own fish and chip shops for over 20 years. So I have made and eaten a lot of fish and chips in my time. And to go with this feed, we've got, of course, tomato sauce. Alright, let's get into this gurnard first. So these guys go through 5 tons of fish a year, and oh my gosh, look at that. The fish looks so fresh and it's got that beautiful crispy batter on it. I'm gonna just squeeze some lemon over the top of that. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Alright. Oh. Hot. It's just sensational. The fish is perfectly cooked. It is so fresh. And gurnard is quite a meaty fish, relatively mild in flavour, but also a little bit sweet. The batter is just equal parts soft and crispy, so it's really soft on the inside where it's just enclosed the fish, and then on the outside it is crispy and golden and crunchy. And even though it's been about 10 or 15 minutes since we picked this up from the guys at Leigh Eats, it hasn't deteriorated in quality. It is just still super crunchy and crispy. I just can't get over how fresh the fish is, and there really is just nothing better eating fresh, golden, crispy fish and chips with that amazing view out there.
It's all about sauce for me when you're having fish and chips. So I'm going to dump a ton of tomato sauce on that, and that is the classic Kiwi tomato sauce holder. So most houses, I think, would have one of these in. So a tomato-shaped tomato sauce holder, and that's got to go with your fish and chips. So ripping off a little bit of this fish off the end, so nice bit of fleshy fish, and I'm going to dunk it in that tomato sauce. Oh my god. Oh, it's so fresh, that fish. I was watching them cutting up the fish and you could just see how fresh the flesh looked, and I love how he's cooked that. So he cooked it on the top of the oil and then he flipped the fish, and he said he was sealing both sides of it to really get that batter crispy and sealed, and then he dunked it. So he put it in a basket and put a basket on top of that basket to get the fish fully submerged so that it would cook right through properly and evenly, and the fish is perfectly cooked. And these chips look great as well. So once again, dunk that in the tomato sauce. Oh, a little bit of crunch on the outside, but I really don't like it when they go too far with the crunch and it ends up crispy. It's not like that at all. It's still nice and soft and pillowy in the center, that potato. And I love the fat chips they use. They'll always use fat chips here in New Zealand. They are really good, and the seagulls are starting to gather because I think they can smell too how good this is. That is such a Kiwi experience. When I think of food at home here in New Zealand, that's what I think of. Amazing fish and chips on the beach. So good.
Now you're probably thinking $22 seems like quite a lot of money to pay for 2 pieces of fish and 2 lots of chips, but it is so worth it for the quality of the fish. It is insanely good.
So fresh. Oh. Now, to follow that, because of all the, obviously that's a little bit fatty, it's deep fried, we're going to follow it with more fat, I guess, actually, but something a bit fresher. We're going for an incredible, fresh, organic blueberry ice cream at a blueberry farm, and these are super special. After those incredible fish and chips, we were so hot we actually decided to jump in the ocean and cool off. But now we're at the blueberry farm and we're here for ice cream. So all of these bushes behind me are fresh organic blueberries. And just over the other side of the camera is where they're making the ice cream with those berries straight off the bushes.
Ice cream and frozen yogurt at Oob, which is where we're at right now, Omaha organic berries, for the whole of summer. We love it so much. Now I'm just gonna start eating before I keep talking because this beauty is rapidly melting. So I love their frozen yogurt more than their ice cream. I really love the tanginess of the frozen yogurt with the berries. So it's literally just frozen yogurt and fresh blueberries straight from those bushes. I've got to get in. Oh my goodness. It is just sensational. So the blueberry has been ground up in that machine. And I love the sound that the machine makes. It's going, so it's churning up the berries, mixing through that frozen yogurt, and then you've got this amazingly beautiful, tangy, refreshing, creamy, sweet concoction. So good. So Oob is an organic orchard, and it is so neat that the blueberries are just literally 50 meters away. They get picked and then they go straight into these ice creams and frozen yogurts. It's magic. We're back home and it's time to get into the Tuatua. So the Tuatua that we collected this morning have been filtering for about 12 hours. So they've been sitting in seawater. And when we tipped out all of the seawater from the bucket, there was a truckload of sand sitting at the bottom. So these guys should be nice and clean. So all I'm gonna do is just cook them really simply. I'm just gonna steam them in a little bit of white wine. The wine is simmering away and I've added the tuatua in batches. Now the secret is, as soon as the tuatua open, you have to fish them out so that they don't overcook and get really tough. So a couple have opened and I am just gonna fish them out as soon as that hinge pops open. Now this is a bit of a special occasion because you never see us cook on this channel. We're usually just the ones eating, but because the seafood is so fresh, we just had to prepare it in front of you and just show you that this is the best way to enjoy seafood in New Zealand. Alright, so the first batch is done. They are going to be super hot, but let's just get into one straight away, because we want it to be still hot and juicy and it looks real good. There's no sand in there. Oh, they are so tender, really sweet and a little bit salty from the sea obviously. Oh, they are really good.
They are all cooked up and it turns out we got a lot more than we thought, so we have got a really good feed here of tuatua.
I just want to say at this point a big shout out to our patrons who help make this type of content possible. So if you want to join them and support more Chasing a Plate content, check out the Patreon link in our YouTube description box below. How good are they?
They are amazing. They're so sweet. Really juicy and so sweet, and like Sheena said, they've just got this tiny little taste of the sea, a little saltiness, a saltwater taste, but then they're so sweet. They are incredible. So the way to eat these is just to wolf into them like popcorn. Just smash, because they don't stay hot for long. You just got to dive right in and they're perfectly cooked. They are super good.
Oh my goodness. Ah, so good. It's so delicious.